Hello fellow mates, in today's video we are diving into the basics of JavaScript, focusing on variables, data types and arrays. By the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of these fundamental concepts that are crucial for any JavaScript developer. First, starting with our lesson, first we need to install JavaScript in our system. To do so, open cmd and type win-git install openjs.node.js. Once done, type node -v, which will verify the installation. If you get any error, it could be because of the path not being updated. To fix that, open run and type sysdm.cpl. This will open the system properties window. Now go to advanced tab, click environment variables. Under system variables, find path variable and click edit. Look for an entry similar to C program files node.js. If it's missing, node.js might not be added to your path. Click new in the path editor and add this line, C program files node.js. Click OK to save the changes. Once done, again go back to cmd and type node -v, which will verify the installation. Also, you need a code editor to run your JavaScript programs. For this tutorial, I'll be using Visual Studio Code by Microsoft. Let's start with variables. A variable is essentially a way to store data in memory, allowing you to reuse it throughout your program. In JavaScript, we typically use let to declare a variable. For example, let character equals hello world. Remember to always end your statements with a semicolon. In more simpler words, variable is a memory allocation or a memory address which stores data or value. A variable needs a name to be used in the program. It uses let to declare a variable name. Now let's look at an example. Here, let character equals hello world. Notice how quotations are used to enclose the text which needs to be displayed, and the statement ends with a semicolon. Over here, let is a keyword, character is a variable name, equals to sign is an assigning operator, hello world is a value. Values which are in quotations are for strings and numbers can be used directly, and semicolon states that the statement ends. Let's talk about data types. JavaScript supports two main categories, primitive and non-primitive data types. Primitive data types are like strings and numbers, store single values and are immutable. On the other hand, non-primitive data types such as objects and arrays are mutable and can hold multiple values. Let's further know about primitive data types. These, as mentioned, are immutable. That means they cannot be modified or changed. This type of data are directly stored in the memory stack. These are further categorized as 7 types. They are built-in data types provided by JavaScript. The first one is number, which includes decimal values and non-decimal values. Then we have strings, characters surrounded by single or double quotes. The next is undefined, variable with no declared value, although you can change the data at a later time or can also be used as a blank variable. Next we have boolean. It has only 2 values, true or false. Heading next in the list, we have null, empty or null value. It represents nothing or empty value. Then we have symbols, unique and immutable primitive value that is used as an identifier for object properties. Next and the last on the list, we have big int, built-in object in JavaScript that represents whole numbers larger than 2 to the power of 53 minus 1. Heading out to the next type of data, non-primitive data types, which are also known as reference data types. These are complex and mutable. The first one in the list is object, a set of key value pairs. It lets users store multiple values in a single variable. For example, name equals Alex, age 20, gender male. Notice how there are 3 keys and 3 values to them stored in a single variable. Next on the list, we have array, a special type of reference data which stores a set of values. Next, we have function, a block of code which is designed to perform a particular task. They are first-class objects, can be assigned to variables and as arguments and returned from functions. Next on the list, we have date, which represents date and time. Then we have regular expressions, which is used for pattern matching in strings. So the key difference between primitive data type and non-primitive data types are, primitive data types are immutable, stored directly in the memory stack. Examples, string, number, boolean, etc. On the other hand, non-primitive data types are mutable data stored as a reference in the memory heap. Examples, object, array, function, date, etc. Coming back to arrays, we know they are a special type of object that stores a collection of values. You can access elements using the index. Let's head over to the programs. Over here you'll find a variable called name declaring a value which is Alex, and in the next statement you'll find console.log bracket name. In JavaScript, console.log is used to display the output. So this program outputs the name Alex. Next we have let name equals Alex. Name equals Mike. Console.log name. Over here the output is Mike. Now let's see how the program works. Because strings are immutable, once we use the second variable name and set it to Mike, the initial value of the variable erases and changes to Mike. So the variable name now has the value of Mike. Next we have a similar situation but with two console.log. Over here, first a variable called name is being declared to its value which is Alex, and instantly at the next statement it's being displayed. Then we have the variable name which changes to Mike, and then again we have console.log which prints Mike. So since strings are immutable, over here we get the output Alex and Mike. Heading over to the next program, we have let x equals 10, y equals x. Console.log x comma y. Over here x has been given the value of 10, y has been given the value of x which is 10. So the output is 10, 10. Notice how to display the value of two variables we are using a comma in the console.log statement. Next we have let x equals 20, let y equals 10, console.log. Over here we are performing addition, and so the output is 30. Next we have let x equals 20, x plus equals 5, console.log x. Now over here we are incrementing x with 5. So the output is 25. Next we have a similar program, let x equals 9, console.log x plus 1. The output is 10. Moving ahead, we have a array program, let x equals 1, 2, 3 in brackets, x of 1 equals 25, console.log x. Now to understand this program, let's see how arrays work. In an array, the data is stored and separated with a comma. For example, let x equals 1, 2, 3 in brackets. Value of x is 1, 2, 3. But to access it, you need to use array elements which are x of 0, x of 1 and x of 2. These numbers in the brackets are called index positions or indices. So x of 0 equals 1, x of 1 equals 2 and x of 2 equals 3. Considering x is equals to 1, 2, 3. Now let's move to the properties of array. There are three properties of array. First one being dot length. It returns the numbers of elements in the array. For example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, console.log arr.length. The output will be 3 because there are 3 values in the variable arr. Next we have dot constructor. It references the function that created the array's prototype. For arrays, this is typically the array constructor. For example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, console.log arr.constructor equals array. The output will be true. The output is a boolean statement. Next we have dot prototype. It provides access to the array's prototype, allowing users to add new properties and methods that will be shared by all arrays. Let's move on to the methods of array. There are a total of 11 types of methods of array. First one being .push. It adds one or more elements to the end of an array and returns a new length. For example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, arr.push 4. 4 is being added to the end of the array, so the new array is 1, 2, 3, 4. Next we have .pop. It removes the last element from an array and returns it. For example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, arr.pop, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. So as we know, pop removes the last element of an array. Over here 3 has been returned, so the new array is 1, 2. Moving on, we have .shift, which removes the first element from an array and returns it, shifting all other elements one position down. For example, let arr 1, 2, 3, arr.shift, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. Over here 1 is returned, so the new array is 2, 3. Next we have .unshift. It adds one or more elements to the beginning of an array and returns the new length. Example, let arr equals 2, 3, arr.unshift 1. So the new value is 1, 2, 3. Next we have .concat. It merges two or more arrays and returns a new array. For example, let arr1 equals 1, 2, let arr2 equals 3, 4, let new arr equals arr1.concat arr2. So the value of new arr will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Next we have .slice. It returns the value which was asked by the user to remove without modifying the original array. For example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, 4, let new arr equals arr.slice arr.slice 1, 3. So the value for new arr is 2, 3, as 1 and 3 have been removed. Next we have .splice. It adds, removes or replaces elements in an array but modifies the original array. For example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, 4. arr.splice 1, 2. To understand this, let's first understand how splice works. Over here, we have 1, 2 in the function. So 1 is the index where 2 elements have to be removed, and 2 is obviously the number of elements that needs to be removed from the index. Therefore, the new array is 1, 4 because 2 elements have been removed starting from index 1. Let's look at more examples of splice. Over here, let arr equals 1, 2, 5, 6. arr.splice 2, 0, 3, 4. So 2 is the index, 0 means no elements will be removed, and 3 and 4 are the values that will be added to the array at index 2. So the new value for the variable will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another example of splice, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. arr.splice 1, 2, 10, 11. Over here, 1 is the index, 2 is the number of elements to replace, that is 2 and 3, and 10 and 11 are the elements that will replace the existing ones at the index. Here's a short summary for splice. For removing elements, .splice index and the number of elements to remove. For adding elements, .splice index 0, new element 1, 2, and so on. For replacing, .splice index number of elements to replace, new element 1, new element 2, and so on. Let's move on to the next method of array, which is .indexOf and .lastIndexOf. .indexOf returns the first index of an element. .lastIndexOf returns the index of that element. Example, let arr equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 console.log arr.indexOf2 console.log arr.lastIndexOf2. arr.indexOf will find the index of 2 from 1, 2, 3, 4. So the index of 2 will be 1. So 1 is returned. Whereas in the second statement, arr.lastIndexOf2 will find the value at index 2, which is 3. Next in the list we have .includes. It checks if an array contains a specific element, returning true or false. For example, let arr equals to 1, 2, 3 console.log arr.includes 2. The output will be 3 because 2 is present in the array arr. Next we have .find and .findIndex. .find returns the first element that matches a condition, while findIndex returns the index of that element. Let arr equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Let found equals arr.find el greater than 2. Let index equals arr.findIndex el greater than 2. Over here, el stands for element. So how this works is el equals greater than sign el greater than 2. This is a callback function where el is the current element being checked against the condition el greater than 2. In our case, it checks if 1 is greater than 2, which is false, 2 is greater than 2, which is again false, 3 is greater than 2, which is true, and since this is the first element that meets the condition, so the variable found becomes 3. Moving on to .findIndex, the same function again checks each element. The index of that element is returned. So in our case, the variable index becomes 2. Therefore, el is a placeholder for each element of the array, as .find and .findIndex methods iterate through it. Also, instead of el, you can also use x or any other variable name. Last but not the least, we have .map, .filter, and .reduce. .map applies a new function to each element and returns a new array. .filter returns a new array with elements that pass a condition, while .reduce reduces all elements to a single value based on a function. So for example, let arr equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Let doubled equals arr.map x times 2. Over here, all the values of the variable arr are being multiplied by 2. So the value of the variable doubled will be 2, 4, 6, 8. Next we have let evens equals arr.filter x modulus 2 equals 0. Over here, we are finding the even numbers, where x divides every number by 2 and checks if the remainder is 0. Once the condition matches, it returns the element. For our case, the value of the variable evens is 2, 4. Next we have let sum equals arr.reduce acc, x, acc plus x, 0. Over here, acc stands for accumulator, and this function is being used to add up all the values of the variable arr. So the variable of the variable sum will be 10. To wrap things up, we have covered the basics of variables, data types, and arrays in JavaScript, along with some essential array methods. I encourage you to practice these concepts and explore further. In the next video, we'll discuss about more interesting topics. CWA signing out.